Hi, and welcome to my channel. I'm Jess. Something you should know about me is that fashion history is one of my special interests. I'm far from an expert, but I know more than the average person thanks to the many fashion historians that I follow on YouTube who create great educational content. Because of this, it's a bit of a pet peeve of mine when the clothing described in books isn't historically accurate. Which brings me to the question of the day. Does it make sense that Anne is obsessed with puff sleeves at the start of Anne of Green Gables? Puff sleeves were briefly in fashion in the mid-1890s, from 1894 to 1897. This means that Anne of Green Gables would have to be set around that time period. But is it? Lucy Maud Montgomery didn't include any actual dates in the book that would help us figure out when the story takes place. There are two ways to figure out the timeline. The first is to look at Lucy Maud Montgomery's life. She took inspiration from her own childhood while writing the novel. If we assume that Anne and Lucy Maud Montgomery are the same age, we can figure out roughly what year Anne arrived at Green Gables. Lucy Maud Montgomery was born in 1874. Anne is 11 at the start of Anne of Green Gables. If Anne was also born in 1874, that would mean that the series starts in roughly 1885, a decade before puff sleeves came back into style. The other way to figure out the time period of Anne of Green Gables is to follow the timeline backwards. From the final novel in the series, Rilla of Ingleside. Rilla of Ingleside is the only book in the series that provides actual dates for the events that take place. That is because it takes place during World War I. This timeline will contain spoilers for the series. I'll try to keep them to a minimum, but some spoilers cannot be avoided. Rilla of Ingleside starts in 1914. Anne's eldest, Jem, is 21, about to turn 22. This means that Jem would have been born in 1892. From Anne's House of Dreams, we know that Anne was 27 when she gave birth to Jem. This means that Anne would have been 11 in 1876. Now we're 2 decades away from puff sleeves being popular. So it doesn't make sense that Anne was obsessed with puff sleeves at 11 years old. Then why were puff sleeves even a plot point? Like, they were important enough that they even made it into an episode of Anne the Animated Series. Honestly, I have no idea why Lucy Maud Montgomery chose to include them. Just for fun, let's look at what the timeline would be if Anne of Green Gables started in 1895, at the peak of when puff sleeves were in style. Anne of Green Gables, published in 1908, follows Anne from age 11 to 16. That means that in this timeline, the book would cover the years 1895 to 1900. Anne of Avonlea, published in 1909, is about a 16 to 18-year-old Anne, so 1900 to 1902. Anne of the Island, published in 1915, takes place while Anne attends college from age 18 to 22, so 1902 to 1906 in our timeline. Anne of Windy Poplars, published in 1936, is about a 22 to 25-year-old Anne, 1906 to 1909. Anne's House of Dreams, published in 1917, takes place over 2 years while Anne is 25 to 27 years old, 1909 to 1911. Anne of Ingleside, published in 1939, has us jump in time a bit to when Anne is aged 34 to 40, or 1918 to 1924. And here's where the timeline falls apart. Rainbow Valley, published in 1919, takes place when Anne is 41. In our timeline, that would be 1925, meaning this book would be set in the future. Our timeline becomes impossible with Rilla of Ingleside, published in 1921. The book is explicitly set from 1914 to 1919, but for our timeline, it would have to take place from 1933 to 1938. Why is the timeline so messy? The answer is simple. Lucy Maud Montgomery didn't originally plan for the series to be set at a specific point in history. World War I kind of messed things up for Lucy Maud Montgomery. She couldn't avoid including such a major world event in the series. Rilla of Ingleside retconned the rest of the series by forcing it into an exact timeline. I guess I kind of do have an answer to why puff sleeves were important to Anne. When writing Anne of Green Gables, Lucy Maud Montgomery decided to include something that she remembered being fashionable about a decade earlier, when she would have been in her early 20s. She probably intended for the books to take place in the recent past, but as I said, Rilla of Ingleside kind of ruined that. If you made it this far, thanks for watching, and comment down below to let me know if you've ever gone down a rabbit hole to determine if a book is historically accurate. I've been thinking about doing an in-depth review of the entire Anne of Green Gables series and Lucy Maud Montgomery's less-known Emily of New Moon series. Let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in, and have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.